All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Be a Warrior podcast. I am excited to have you here today, and we are now on week 3 post-surgery for me. And I thought that today I would talk to those of you that are kind of struggling with your amputation and struggling to get through those first weeks, the first month, the first 8 weeks. And what it really means to be there. And I think that may be one of the reasons why I end up getting an opportunity to go through this revision and AMI procedure, because it's very easy after 6 years to forget the basics and what it's like to be without your prosthesis, walking around with crutches, dealing with life. Life keeps going. And I just thought it would be really kind of good to get back to some of that, the basics. So with this starting over, I will tell you, it is everything I remember and all the things that just drive me nuts. And so I get it. I get those of you that are in that position. I totally am right there with you. I understand. But, going into this, I wasn't quite sure I wanted to do this procedure. And if you haven't heard anything about it, a couple weeks ago, I had Dr. Matthew Carty on my podcast, who is a surgeon that did my procedure out in Boston and also is the man that created that procedure with Dr. Hugh Herr out of MIT. And it all kind of comes together as one, I call it a package. And whether or not that's how they see it, it is how I see it. When you get this AMI procedure done, it is to stitch together your muscles so that they can work again like they used to, minus my knee, minus my calf muscle and all that. But my quads and my hamstrings can actually work together now and build strength, build muscle, which then ties into their prosthesis they're working on that is a myoneural prosthesis, and also the sockets they're working on, which will then eventually work in tandem with this procedure, that leg, and they'll have technology that they are working on right now that I got to see firsthand in the MIT lab of what it is they're hoping to have out in the future. And I've told you guys a lot about that there's so much that I can't divulge and talk about because it is something they're in the midst of, and they are just working tirelessly on getting all the bugs out and getting it fixed and ready to go to market. So that's all I can really say about that. But I have to say that as much as I'm always up for a challenge, this was one of those challenges after 6 years of being like up and moving and active and doing what I thought the best I could do with the leg I had. I didn't think I wanted to go through with it. So I just remember praying about the fact that if there was a reason why they needed to open me up, then I'd go ahead with it. But I was really literally waiting to the moment that I was in Boston pre-surgery, the month before the surgery, having a CT scan through their hospital to see if there was something that was causing me issues that I have had all 6 years, but I was figuring it was just part of amputee life. And this is a reminder to you to know your body as well, because what I dealt with for 6 years was actually an abnormality, and it should not have been there. What they did find, and I didn't bring it in again, what they did find was a plastic screw-in plug that I believe was put in at my amputation, possibly because my revision knee surgery that happened prior to amputation, obviously, was there was a lot of femur that was drilled out and a lot of cement put in. And I wonder if it was to retain more of my femur. They decided not to cut further back where the cement kept going, but to cut it off and then plug it with this. It looked like a screw in a CT scan, would end up being a plastic plug. And if you can imagine, it was about a quarter, the size of a quarter in diameter at the top, maybe a nickel at the bottom, and it was about an inch long. And that was in my flesh, hanging out of my bone, no longer in the femur. And then there was a bursa around it. And that could have been in there since, or could have been like that since almost the beginning, because I did have one major fall right after my surgery, my amputation, um, just prior to getting my first prosthesis. And I landed straight down on my femur. And that was the most painful thing I've ever felt. Would never want to recreate that again or wish it upon my worst enemies. So there's a possibility that that jarred it loose. And then the doctor also said sometimes bone recedes and therefore could have fallen out too. So we're all now making educated guesses. But the point is, there was actually a foreign object in my body that had been causing me, and the things that I think about that have happened, and the pains and the phantom pains, sharp, shooting, knife like pains that I was feeling, things I couldn't do at the gym, like squeezing abductor machines that would kill me. Now I know why. And I never even thought of it. I just, when you don't know, you don't know. And as amputees, one of the hardest things is to find out is when people say, is this normal all the time? I can't stand that comment, because there is no normal, right? For anybody, but for amputees, there's not a normal amputation. Everybody deals with it different, feels things different. Everybody had it done differently, whether under duress or disease or election. And so there's so many different norms. But if you start feeling certain pains that are just constant, that keep coming back over and over again, especially after 6 years, maybe look into it. Just saying, coming from my experience, it's probably what I should have done. But I was like, well, suck it up, buttercup. You know what? This is your life. And if you just give too much power to that pain, you're going to be miserable. And I didn't want to be miserable. So I chose to try to ignore it and deal with it when it came on and let it pass and move on with life. So that was the reason I finally chose to revision surgery and the AMI procedure, was because I wanted that screw or that plug out of my body, the bursa taken and cleaned up, and the femur cleaned up, because the femur was pretty rough. That made the decision much easier because there was a reason to go in. And when he opened me up, I said, just do it all. Do what you need to do. Do the TMR, the complete TMR, because I did have TMR surgery because of that one pain, but also because of a neuroma I did find in my hamstring. The neuroma got taken out a year after my amputation, but I still had that pain. Well, because it was a plug deep underneath the surface of my skin, and my nerves weren't that deep. So even though my one surgeon, plastic surgeon, tried to do the TMR on that area that I thought was a problem, he never saw it. And that's because, like I said, it was so deep inside. So this surgeon, Dr. Carty out in Boston, did a new TMR. I do have a nice long scar in the back of my hamstring, besides the whole front of my leg where they reopened and did it again. They did all the things they needed to do in there, besides getting the plug out in the bursa, cleaning up the femur, doing a full TMR, so that maybe some of those pains I expressed I was having, because I usually get a very sharp shooting pain in the bottom of my heel that feels like someone's sticking me with a knife over and over and over again. And it truly does make me gasp, because it comes on so sharp and so fast, so hard, and it's quick. Like someone sticking a knife in, pulling it out, and then sticking it again. It makes me gasp, and at times can make me knee jerk. My leg will literally pop off the ground. Or, you know, those moments when you're in bed and you have those dreams like you're falling off a cliff and you jump, that will happen. I will be like sitting there falling asleep, just half asleep, and I'll get that pain, and it'll make me shoot up my leg in bed. And so he said that he knew exactly where that was and what nerve would be causing that kind of problem in the location. So I am hopeful, beyond hopeful, that that is all going to be good. Now, you might think, well, why in the heck, like fear? Let's talk about fear a little bit. I talk to a lot of amputees, and fear is always a big thing. Fear of going through the amputation, fear of what it's going to look like when you see it for the first time, fear that this pain or that pain is never going to go away, fear that I'm never going to get a good fit on my socket. There's so many fears as amputees. We go down that road a lot. And somebody might think, were you really fearful about this surgery? And at first, I really didn't think hard about it. I tried not to entertain those negative thoughts, to be honest. But if I was going to be really deep down, heart honest, there's a lot of me that sucks it up because I have a family. I have boys that are needing me, a husband that needs me, dogs that need me, and I'm not one to get into a panic mode as much. But yes, there was fear that the what if, right? I tried not to go to what if, but of course the question comes up, what if it's worse? Now that you've opened up, what if you're worse than you were? You were doing fine. You were doing fine. But I thought, is my fine really fine, or is it actually great? And what I thought was great, could it be better? So there was two sides to that dilemma for me in my mind and my heart that I was trying to deal with and reconcile why I should go through this. Now, like I said, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it for the sake of science. When I got down that road, I had a couple interviews. Then it was the in-person one. And it was the in-person one that I literally still wasn't sure 100% if I was going to do it or not, because it could go worse. Like I could be more damaged. I could have more issues, different issues. Anything could happen, right? And God forbid, an infection or any other issues like that. But I knew with my faith that if God presented something so ginormous that we couldn't miss it, that it was unstoppable, then I knew what I was expected to do and what I could do, and that I was going to be covered in with God's good graces. And sure enough, that's what I said. The CT scan showed something that even the doctor's like, I don't want to start deep on this, but I got to talk to you. The CT scan showed something I've never seen. We've got something that looks like a screw coming out of your femur. And I knew right then and there that the answer was go for it. And so once I decided that, I truly came home from that appointment with like 99.9% going to do it. Got everything started lining up, and then started just getting myself mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for that, which I think I talked about, which was literally getting to the gym and making sure I was out walking and getting exercise, making sure my body was as strong and as healthy as possible. It also contained stopping drinking any alcohol, like not even a glass of wine at night or anything. No alcohol for those 4 weeks. What I didn't think about is then once you have the surgery, there's no alcohol while you're on pain meds. So I'm like, so it was more than 4 weeks, but I'm doing good. I'm not on pain meds anymore. And I've had a glass of wine, and quite frankly, I don't really care anymore. So that's really awesome. It was a good benefit. But I also started eating. I always eat pretty healthy, but I really was very conscious about what I was putting in my body because I didn't want any excess weight gain before going in. Then I was making sure that I was emotionally in check, and that was going and seeing my horse and just spending time with her and decompressing. Sorting through things with her presence makes me feel very complete, very peace, and very calm. Because if I'm not calm, she doesn't want to be with me, and I want to be with her. So to make her with me, I have to take the deep breaths. I have to breathe calmly, and I have to let go of the things that are on my mind in the moment. And then mentally, of course, just making sure I'm in the right state of mind. Am I ready to do this? Do you know what it's going to take? You've already been through this once before. You know what you're going to have to do. You know how long you're going to be out of a leg. How are you going to handle it? And then also connecting with my pastor. So I got on a spiritual level and made sure that he knew what I was going through and that he would pray for me. And we just talked it out and just talked about life. So I really covered physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So I went in feeling 100%. That eliminates fear. When you can cover your 4 bases, and if you're not a spiritual person, then maybe at least get those 3, the physical, mental, and emotional, and really kind of stare down that fear and understand that what you're fearing is a future of what ifs. But the future, you can't worry about. We have to worry about right now, the present time, what we're dealing with now, and how we are handling now will make us a better person for later. So, I try really hard not to worry about this. And I only could think of the best things possible. Like I'm with the man who created the surgery He knows exactly what he's doing and how to do it. And I have to say, it's been a couple weeks now. Like I said, I'm off all pain meds, not even Tylenol. I have very little phantom pains or any sensations. I have some buzzing every once in a while when I overdo it, because yes, you can overdo it even on crutches. And yesterday I had a full-on workout in my room here, and it felt great. But that last night I kind of felt a little bit more of the hum of the buzzing of the nerves. But overall, the pain I was feeling right after surgery for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, that's actually pretty much gone away. So I'm really excited and really hopeful, and my incision looks great. I'm healing well. So for those of you out there, I get it. I know where you're at. I know this is for me. If you don't know anything about amputation, a revision surgery that is as extreme as mine was, especially with all the different things he did, and the TMR along with that, plus getting out some foreign object. But the prosthetist that I met out there, Devin from Bionic Skins, hey Devin, I hope you're listening. Thank you for coming to visit me in the hospital and talking through some things. You opened my eyes to the fact that this isn't like my TMR surgery that I had at year 1 after amputation. This is a full-on start over. And after you left and I thought about that, I was kind of like, oh shit, like starting over. So for those of you that don't understand, when you have an amputation, you actually go through multiple socket changes rapidly, because the first one is going to fit a very fat, swollen leg from surgery. And everybody knows it takes about 12 months to be completely recovered from surgeries. 6 months is pretty good, but right off the bat, if I get a leg at 7 or 8 weeks, I'm going to be still very swollen compared to my end result. And I was like, oh my God, that was the longest 3 years of my life. Like, I went through, I think it was like 14 or 15 sockets in the first 3 years. And then I just got a new one not too long ago, like literally January, because I had a year and a half in one and it was fabulous. Like, not changing every 2 months is wonderful. And all of a sudden I realized that I'm not worried about the waiting. I'm getting over the whole needing patience, slow it down, take everything in right now, live in the moment, don't worry about tomorrow, be patient. But I'm not sure I've got what it takes that I did the first time around to do it again, because every time you get a new socket, you get new pains. You get new rubs, new wear marks, new blisters, new rashes, until you wear it in. Then by the time you wear it in, guess what? You've shrunk some. So now you get to get a new one. And then you go through that. All the same thing. It's like I say, it's like putting on a pair of new sneakers and going out for a run. Putting on hiking boots for the first time, the brand new hiking boots, and trying to break them in. You break your skin in first. That's just how it goes. And so that is what it's like for an amputee. We have to break in every socket. The problem is, when you're new, your breaking in is equal to the point that once you break it in, you're ready for a new one. And then you have to go get refitted for a new one. And then you break that one in, and you get fitted for a new one, and you break that one in. That is the thing I am not looking forward to. But if you're new to being an amputee, it is a process, and I have to remember the process and the importance of the process, because every time you get a new socket, your prosthetist, if he's good and he's on target, or she is good and on target, they look at every time you're done with one, what needs to change and be updated. Not just the volume, but also where certain aspects of your leg are wearing more rashes or pinching or whatever. Maybe it's where it's going up. Like for me, as an above knee, it goes up high in my hip area, up in my into my buttocks is really what it is, all the way up into my groin muscle, onto my sit bone in the back. So there's a lot of changes that have to be taken into account. And because my surgeon actually revised my amputation, he got rid of a lot of excess flesh, because when I first became an amputee, I was 55 pounds heavier than this. And I lost a ton of weight and then volume and atrophied. So there was a whole mess of skin there that was just in the way. And so I don't have any of that anymore. So not only did he take off just a little bit of femur, but he took off a big hunk of skin from the bottom. So my leg to me looks a lot shorter than it was. So I will have to learn all of that again too. Now, this is just like the starting point. Like I said, there's so much learning involved in this and so much that we have to take into account when we go through this. And I am really right there with brand new amputees again. The only difference is I have 6 years of experience, so I know it's coming, and I can protect myself, my heart, my mind, from the roadblocks, the barriers they're going to come and they're going to hit, and I will understand them. I will understand when they come. I will expect them. I will understand how to get through them. And that is something, unfortunately, no matter what you're told by another amputee, if you're new, until you go through it yourself, you really don't get it. And you really have to learn it by going through it. We can give you the ideas, but how your body handles it, how you mentally handle it, and how you can handle it emotionally, depending on your support system at home, depending on what your home looks like, depending on your health, all those things come into play. And so I want to remind you that my journey will be different than yours. That's why I always say this is my personal journey. What I'm going through is not what you're going to see or go through. There is a slight similarity in the skeletal structure of becoming an amputee and going through phases, but it's going to look very different for each one of us. It's just going to be, you're going to get healing, then you go to socket fitting, more atrophy. You might go through changes in your limbs so much that you go through it quicker. You might go through it slower. Some of you are going to have trust issues. And that is a big thing that determines the success of an amputee is trust issues with the leg you get, learning to trust it and being strong enough to manipulate it. So strength is important. So if you're sitting around right now, it is time for you to find a way to exercise somehow, some way. Even while you're healing, I started exercising yesterday. I've been walking as much as I can. I sit to take a break when my pain gets too much because I am still throbbing a little bit and healing. But yesterday I just sat here and I was doing, push-ups, sit-ups. I was using just simple bands that you can get from like the Five Below or on Amazon, and doing certain things that will keep my strength up, which also then floods my body with endorphins, which makes me feel better about life. Because a lot of us after amputation go through a very depressive state and fearful state. And it's a bad place to get stuck, especially when you're stuck at home on crutches or a walker or a wheelchair. So I wanted to write this down. I always do a call to action, and I love using these cards. This one's called Stare Down Your Fear. So this is going to be your call to action this week, because fear is truly going to be the biggest roadblock you face. And, I don't have fear like I normally would have fear about this, but I am going to be a little anxious to see how my first prosthetic feels with a little bit of a different limb, because like I said, it is a little shorter. I don't have that skin holding on and clutching my socket because I am a skin fit socket. So I'm curious on how that's going to go. But stare down your fear. This is your call to action. Look for ways you've let fear hold you back at work, in your relationship, or in your free time, or in your recovery. Face one of your fears today. Choose something that is challenging yet manageable and safe. Reach out to someone close to you for support if necessary, and I would say accountability. And then imagine what your life would look like if you push through your fear every single day. I know it isn't easy, guys. I know it's hard, but that's why you are a warrior, and I believe that. We are all built with a warrior spirit. We are all fighters. We either fear or we fight. So I'm asking you to pull out that warrior within you and start fighting for what you want. Face those fears and get moving in any way, shape, or form you can that keeps you active, that keeps your body moving, and that keeps producing endorphins that make you feel good so that you can change the way your mentality is and you can get over the fears. It isn't easy, but I know you can do it. You're strong enough. You are amazing enough, and I believe in you. So don't let fear hold you back. Face a fear every day and take charge of your life because you can do this. I know you can. I hope you have. I hope you had a great 4th of July, a safe 4th of July. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. And remember, as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.